Hi there and welcome to Bridging the Gap. Ian Hansen along with intuitive medium and spiritual advisor Brenda Burgett as always. And Brenda, on this edition of Bridging the Gap on television, we are going to be bridging the gap between people like yourself, intuitive mediums, spiritual advisors, psychics. So we duck, things may be thrown at us. That word is still applicable. It all kind of ties together. We may talk about maybe the slight differences between those things, but again, folks like you and folks maybe not like you, or that aren't quite as efficient as you are at getting their own answers on their own just yet. And what people may question about why that would play a part in their lives and how it would tie into one's life.
Well, let's see what happens.
Okay, well that's what we always do here on Bridging the Gap. So by the way, it's been a little while since we've done a shoot, about 3 weeks, is that right? What were we calling him, Shuffy?
Scruffy?
I think it was Shuffy. He's a scruffy Shuffy today because he does need to take it off from under here, that's for sure. But yes, I think the last time we convened for a shoot was 3 or 4 weeks back. So we are back now, and again, we'll have a new episode for you. These are posted on Sundays, Shuffy? Sundays on our website, and that's probably where you're seeing this right now, which is bridgingthegap.tv.com, or remember you can go to bridgingthegapwithbrenda.com and go to the same place. So Brenda, as far as our voyage today, starting out with intuitive mediums, spiritual advisors, we call you both. Psychic ropes in there. There could be some other terms. Let's define those briefly and make sure that we know the difference, if there is, between those, and then talk about, again, how one of those might play a role in someone else's life.
The difference in psychic and in intuitive is the spelling.
Is the spelling, which varies from place to place around the world, but that's it. That's the only real difference?
It really is. It doesn't have to be that complicated. We're avoiding the word psychic for a good reason, because it's very unacceptable in some people's minds, but you know what, I really don't care.
Yeah, I think on the promo I refer to you as psychic medium, so you know, again, they are essentially the same thing.
I am what I am.
Okay, and I am too. I'm very sorry about that, by the way, to all of you at home. So, Brenda, I do know this, and we'll get on again to the subject of how, again, a psychic or intuitive medium would play a role in someone's life and the ins and outs of that. But I do know that recently on your travels to Sedona, and you know, this is something that you're always working on, this gift of yours, it was sort of brought out that you were in fact a trance medium. So you can compartmentalize, after we get past the terms we've already discussed, into things that are a little bit more specific, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's something that someone decided along the way, that this, if you don't remember what you're saying during a session, then you're a trance medium. And you can be full trance or you can be partial. And I'm not full anything, so I'm partial.
Okay, so she's half trance on her father's side, maybe.
On my father's side, or my great Aunt Rachel.
And again, that's what it would, who we could talk to right now if we wanted to, but we're not
Rachel
going to.
is up raising something with somebody. That's what my mother called me when I did things that were not acceptable.
Ah, I see. There were probably a few of those too.
Maybe one.
As far as your mom was concerned. And I know we don't want to get too deep into that, but she is doing a lot better than she's been
amazing.
Lately, but you've been helping her with that as a healer, of course, which is something else that Brenda is very much adept at too. So, all right, Brenda, so again, we could explore all of those little subgenres of the psychic and intuitive medium field, but we'll save that maybe for another show, or just kind of get to them as they come up. Just know for now that when you hear those terms in general, that is what we're talking about. The same thing.
Exactly.
Okay, so now we explore the question of why would one approach a psychic? And again, there's that word, or intuitive medium. And again, this is the dicey territory, Brenda. I know more and more people that I talk to, and we come from a rather conservative area, both Brenda and myself, but it seems like the more and more I talk to people about this project and my further involvement in it day after day, the more it kind of pricks people's ears, and they become very much interested and say, well, I've always been interested in that myself. Yet there is an unapproachability to it from them. They've got it at arm's length still. So what lowers that arm and draws us in finally?
The need. A need. Something that can't be answered conventionally. And I always say, go see a counselor, go see a minister, go see your mother, go see your best friend. And if you're not happy with that, try another means. Open up your mind a little bit and never turn your mind over to but open your mind and be receptive to maybe a different way of looking at things. Also, like we've talked about before, those answers are inside you. And when these things come through, if they resound with you and they feel right, they're right. If it doesn't, then it's not.
It really is all about feelings.
It is so much about feelings, and I caution you or ask you not to turn your mind over to just anything. There's a lot of things out there that I frankly don't want to get involved in, and you are in control of your own life and destiny and thinking, so we're just a tool.
Okay.
Just a tool.
And I think it's important too, Brenda, that folks again understand, and we'll reiterate this probably show after show, maybe not every show, but from time to time remind people that the whole idea is to empower yourself and find your own answers. So what you do as a medium, conduit, however you want to term that, is helping to get those answers out of another person. But you are, in fact, when you consult with someone like Brenda, who's doing it properly at least, and I guess maybe there's a right and, I'm not sure, wrong way, Brenda, but...
I'm not sure either.
Okay, but if you've got someone like Brenda who does it like she does, and again, we're advocating that that's the way to go here, you're getting your own answers. You're just basically needing a conduit for them, because you're a little stuck. And
I have people that I consult, and if I'm quiet, you're probably more sure of yourself in your direction than actually I am, because as a young person you decided a long time ago that you had your own answers. And occasionally I work myself up into a snit of one kind.
I've seen them, by the way. We have some of them on film. We'll get to those later. Actually, that's my website. You can go to for those. 1995 per snit. So.
And I want answers, and I'm so busy with the mental chatter and whatever that I can't be quiet long enough to get my answers. So we just talked with Larry.
Larry Secor, can we say his last name?
Yes, absolutely.
Down in Arizona, and he's a marvelous man.
He is wonderful, and I met him when I was down there. I've talked to him a couple of times. I think maybe we may try to interview him on this show. And we talked to him. We did a conference call.
Be prepared for those, by the way. That's one thing I can say, because I think that's my only disappointment about having consulted with Larry along with Brenda for some of our own answers recently, was just that I was a little unprepared. Should write some things down. Do you advocate that people do that, Brenda? I know a lot of times maybe there's one big thing on someone's mind when they finally again decide to put the arm down, but you know, if you're doing this just in general to have a few things done, maybe it's good to write those things down, you don't forget it.
It depends on your personality. If you are used to lists and writing things down, that's what you do. When I have a reading from one of the people that I enjoy, and there's not a lot of them, I have maybe 2 questions, and I want to see which way Spirit takes it. Because in fact, almost always, the question I have will end up being a second or third in line of importance, and I will get the thing that's really causing me the anguish instead of what I'm asking. So it's where it goes and where it's leading and being open to that. But yeah, do your own questions. People come to me with a list, and that's great. But I always say to them, if you have a question driving away, get on the phone and call me back.
And I think you could put your own life in perspective too, Brenda. This probably goes for anybody out there, rich, poor, anything in between, single, married, you know, whatever. You're always chewing on something different in your life that you're concerned with. Regardless of how at peace you are with different things in your life, there's always something that you're really working on, and sometimes it's your professional career, sometimes it's your love life, sometimes it's your kids, sometimes it could be something completely different, friends, those types of things. So think about, if you feel like everything is just going to heck right now, think about what you would have asked someone like Brenda 10 years ago, 20 years ago, if you can go further back than that, 30, 40 years ago. The things that were important to you then, maybe you got those stabilized. They're not as important to you now. They're important, but you fixed them. You found your answers and you got there, and now you're working on something else.
And be patient with yourself if you don't get it. and never have to go back and revisit it. Because there's basic things that we don't go too far away from. Where am I going to be? Who's going to be there with me? And how am I going to feel? And give me direction. Direction comes from all different sources, and we're just one of them. But always I introduce you to entertain this idea, and don't just do exactly what anybody tells you. First of all, I don't tell anyone what to do. I don't, and I don't remember being a trance medium. I don't remember what I'm saying, but I do know that Source will not allow me to say, you need to do this, or it's always introducing a thought and an idea, and if it works for you and it feels good, go for it. If it doesn't, don't. If you're not sure, don't.
I know a lot of folks find the experience after the first time that they will have a consultation, or they'll have a reading, or whatever it is you'd like to call it, Brenda, kind of surprised. Wow, that was different than I thought it would be. And it's always positive from what I've heard.
I don't think I've ever heard anything negative. Maybe they just are being kind. But I don't care.
I don't think so.
That's another thing. I have no connection to these at all. And whether they happen the way we say they're going to happen or whatever is really of no concern to me. I have no attachment to the outcome.
All right. Well, and that's important business for you specifically. But again, you stay attached to your own answers, and the idea behind again, not only what you do, Brenda, but the entire project that we are involved with is getting you to the point where you find those answers for yourself, and maybe even with the family unit or with groups of others, help them find their answers too. Again, that's how we all help each other and kind of change things that we'd like to in our world.
And that's what we want to do. We want to make a difference.
Yeah.
We want to make a difference.
Absolutely. All right, Brenda, so we've lowered the arm and we've come forward, let's say, and we've had our first spiritual advising or our consultation, 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever it might be, about Chuck at work who wants your job, and you want to know if you should ram the pencil in his eye. Don't do that, by the way. You want to know if you should fly the coop, and when am I going to get this job? Does Cindy really dig me, or is she just sending me mixed signals? There's also this juice girl who I like a lot, but I'm not sure. I mean, again, those are the things we're gnawing on all the time in our world. So we've consulted with you. Maybe we've gotten some of our own answers, and we've liked it. How often should we consult with someone like you, Brenda? Because I think there is an obsessive side maybe to things like therapy. We know a lot of great examples as far as celebrity plastic surgery that we won't go into. God love those people. How often, Brenda, should we, because we're going to want our own answers daily at some point, but we're going to have to learn to find them for ourselves.
And they won't get them from me daily. That's not why I do not want to create a dependency to anyone, but I'm always available. I'm always available. If someone really needs me, friends, whatever, I'm here. But there's a little warning that comes with that,
It's right back here, actually. I can't show it to you. The tag was removed, actually. It's illegal.
Under penalty of law. So if I feel like someone is becoming too dependent on me, it'll stop.
Yeah. Well, and again, that would be an ethical psychic or spiritual advisor, I think, in action, right?
It's the way I'm told. It's my guides.
Yeah, and I would guess any good spiritual mediums, guides would do the same thing. I know you don't know, and you're going to stay completely Swiss on this one, but I'm advising you just that, I think you can get to a point, like you can with anything, where there's an overabundance of it.
Stop thinking for yourself.
Right.
And I do have people that I kind of am on retainer with, that the entire family calls when they need something, but they don't abuse it at all. And it's only after they have tried every other way to do it, and then they want confirmation. And I guess they're happy since they've been clients, if that's the right word, for the last 3 years.
And it's funny, something we just discussed between the two of us, because we consult with each other on almost a daily basis, working together.
Right.
And it's something that I definitely wanted to avoid, was leaning on you, like I have seen others lean on you for all of these answers, or for just basically your powers of knowing that maybe they feel like they don't possess. So it was important for me not to put that burden on yourself or me. So it is a line that needs to be respected and walked. But I know you told me recently, you got to ask me some more stuff, boy, when you actually need it. And so that's something that I have to probably do.
And if I'm giving you answers, then I can get weary or give you bad answers or bad advice and become very wonderful in my own mind. But if these are answers coming through me, how can it be too much? If you genuinely need some support, then that's part of what I'm here for. And I would not feel good if I thought you needed an answer and I might be able to get you to think about it. So you won't, nobody, and you know, there's people leaning on me. They're really not. If they were leaning on me, I would already chop their heads off or drive them behind my truck.
Jeez.
You might want to take that out of here. But
nothing like a good beheading every so often. So,
but I mean, I have zero tolerance for people who really, in my mind, if I think they're taking advantage of me. But if they're not, things are genuinely coming through me, then it's hardly ever too much.
Okay. Intuitive medium, spiritual advisor, Hangman's Noose, Brenda Burgett here with us today, along with yours truly. I'm Ian Hansen. We're exploring some pitfalls, I suppose, and also some things to look for as far as your initial exploration of this phenomenon. Again, if you are not accustomed to it or you've only tickled kind of the surface of this, it's something that you want to get more involved with. These are just some tips, I guess, if you will, Brenda, on how to maybe have a healthier ride through that than not. And again, we were inspired by a question that came in from a viewer, actually, that has several questions, actually. We're going to basically hit on all of these points before we're finished out today. But we're bridging the gap between folks like Brenda, who are gifted psychics, intuitive mediums, and folks probably more like yourself, who have your own answers, but you might need or want to advise with someone like Brenda in order to get them in the future. So, Brenda, the next question that I imagine would pop to mind, or I think something we should at least talk about, because Larry mentioned this, I know, and you know, there'll be talk of this, and I didn't realize until he said some things to me, and I won't go into it because they are personal, and I don't want to divulge them to the world, but he's talking a lot about some celestial movements as far as the timing of things,
yes.
And months can be brought out, so this can very often happen. If you go to a spiritual advisor, a psychic, an intuitive, whatever you want to call it, whatever they call themselves, and you say, I'm not liking my job, or I don't have one, and I've put in for work in this field. When am I going to get something? When is there going to be some changes? And the answer comes in the springtime. In the springtime, there'll be a change, and you'll get a phone call, there'll be an opportunity, or some answer like that. And let's say it's October. The last thing I think you want to do is waltz out and say, I'm just going to sit back and enjoy myself until we get to April because I got it made. Because that's not how it works.
No, it is not how it works at all. And it's guidelines, and because you have your own will, you can change this. You can actually get in your own way and stop it, or you can speed it up, but you should never just wait for it to happen. There are things, and you'll have your own guidance, there's things that you might need to do to get ready for what's coming. So
very often that's what will be first,
exactly.
Unless there is some sense of an absolutely imminent change within days. And again, Brenda, that might lead to another question folks would have, and this could be different for every medium like yourself or every spiritual advisor, conduit, but how long are we talking about as far as the readings are concerned? Could we go years into the future? You could tell me all about my kids and grandkids. Are we talking about something that's just within a few months, or is there a general time frame?
I usually see up to 6 months.
6 months, okay.
6 months, and then I occasionally will see beyond that. And then, of course, when you're getting guidance from the past, which always is important, that goes back, can go back many, many lives ago. But it's important, I think, to be, how are you going to be spontaneous if you know every single thing that you think might happen in the next year, or so? That's not what we're here for.
Yeah, and again, fellas, that's a good one for you. How are you going to be spontaneous with that nice girl who you went to the psychic to ask about, actually, who seems to be interested per the information you got, and now you're just going to, again, lay back and wait and say, well, she'll approach me. Probably not going to happen. You're still going to have to move. That would be a good idea. Girls like that these days, I've discovered too.
A lot of people ask for a sign. Give me a sign.
Ah, we had that on one of our last episodes, didn't we? Yeah.
And you get your own signs. You ask Spirit Guide for a sign. Or maybe something that comes out of this. What we do will actually be your sign.
Now, signs can be very different, Brenda, and this is a whole other show, so I really don't want to scratch this one too deeply, but some of our ancestors, ancient civilizations, had signs that were, you know, when the rhesus monkey picks the mango, probably the wrong part of the world actually for both, but that's how amazing the sign would be, see, and climbs up on top of the yucca plant and howls and starts singing like Wayne Newton, who hadn't even been invented yet. That's the sign we're all waiting for.
Why would you want to live in a world without Wayne Newton?
That is very true. Are we going to keep him alive?
No, I don't think so.
Brenda can do it.
Yeah.
I know she can. We can heal you, Wayne Newton.
Let's let him live out his contract and be back if he wants.
Let him stay at the ranch in Vegas. So, again, Brenda, those signs can be, you know, different people are going to want different kinds of signs. And some people may be in the process of creating their own. But when you ask for a sign, what should you look for in general terms?
Depending on your personality and what resounds with you, it'll always be personal to you. It can be, like I told you before, I was calling it a beer truck, and it was actually a bus with a Nike thing, just do it. That's how little I know about beer trucks, I guess. And
alluding to the fact that I would know so much more somehow. No, I don't.
And I actually get messages. They'll say to me what they expect me to do. And I've had the phone ring, or somebody, weird things. Let's do something really wooey here.
Okay.
I have had people show up that are there 1 minute and say something to me, and I blink and they're gone.
That has actually happened to me.
Absolutely, yes.
And you look around and go, wow, they move fast. So
who was that?
Yeah, who was that?
And then it's funny because your mind will accept it. And you don't question it maybe until that evening, or in my case, whenever I get around to it. But where did that come from? Who was that? Why? Who are they?
Now we're getting into angels here too, I think, and that's territory for the future as well.
Is.
So I don't, again, want to carve out a whole new river here. I just wanted to, again, you mentioned signs. So, you know, look for them, but again, be careful with that, because if you've sought an intuitive for your own answers and you've received some that you feel good about, and again, it's all about that feeling. Don't use logic with this, and again, that's one of the hardest things, Brenda. You're going to have to use logic. Again, you know, write the check to the gas company so they don't shut it off, or don't. That's your choice. But there's some logic that plays into life in general terms, but in this territory, it's going to teach you how to follow your feelings.
It's so much easier for someone who wakes up every morning to a brand new world, myself, than it is for someone who really has to have proof. I work with someone who insists on proof. Don't have it. Don't have to have it. Not going to do it.
I'm acquainted with this person as well. So.
Yes.
It's a beautiful pashmina you have on. Oh, that's actually a scarf.
That's a scarf. Thank you.
That was a clue. So, all right. I love cryptic messages in TV. It's just wonderful. So, all right, Brenda. Well, we'll get into all that business a little bit later on. Again, the show topic for today was inspired by a viewer question, and you can get those to Brenda. Go to the website. It's bridgingthegapontv.com or bridgingthegapwithbrenda.com. And yes, our YouTube is completely different. Thank you to that lovely gentleman in Ghana. Still, Bridging the Gap on TV is where you go there. A couple other things that this gentleman mentioned in his question, Brenda, that I think we should just tackle real quickly. One is he's asking, are you displaying some form of weakness by consulting with a psychic, a last resort of sorts when you're down to your last dime or you just don't know what to do? I would certainly think that you should not look at consulting a spiritual advisor or psychic as a weak point in your life, but others might. So what would you say on that?
It's a tool, like anything else. If you think it's a weakness, it's a weakness.
Okay.
And there are lots and lots of people out there ready to take your money if you want to consult them on whatever you need to do. No, I'm not saying that's wrong, but does that make you a well-rounded person who can handle their own life? I don't know. You either are or you aren't. I have had people call me right in the middle of a horrible crisis and they say, "You're my last resort." It's like somebody with cancer who decides to do an alternative thing at the last minute. Is it wrong? Is it right? No. It just is.
Okay, and that kind of axle-rods into the last question that's here that we also sort of talked about already, and that is this person's wanting to know, is it dangerous to rely on someone for these answers? We talked about it maybe being not the greatest idea on a consistent basis every single day or every few minutes. You're calling the psychic hotline in California, hello, and yes, there's $15,000 on my credit card I owe them and things like that. There's going to be some practical things that play into this, but dangerous, Brenda? I mean, maybe he's alluding to, if I do this, am I going to attract some form of energy to me that I don't want? Am I opening the floodgates for the ghoulies to come out of the toilet like they did in the 1980s in that movie? I love that one, by the way. So we got to show her that. Are bad things going to happen woodgie style because of the fact that I've consulted with a psychic?
No.
Okay. So that's a very definitive answer that you have on that.
If you go into it with fear and a foreboding, then don't do it. Just don't. You don't have to. My brother says, I have God and I pray and I get my answers. Same thing. Good for you. Yeah. That works. That's who he is. Okay.
Psychics all have their fees. Tipping your psychic, so that's something we should do, or?
Oh, certainly.
Here.
Pays the mortgage.
That's right.
Yeah.
Remember to pay your psychic's mortgage.
Yeah, I remember somebody saying to me, I would think a lot more if you didn't charge, and this person was trying to sell me ads, and as a realtor I needed ads. I said, I'd think a lot more of you if I didn't have to pay for my advertising every month.
Yeah, and that's another good point, I guess, that would come up, Brenda. Well, if you're so interested in helping someone, then why aren't you a yogi sitting on a mountain somewhere in a loincloth and, oh, please, ask me the question. And you don't need anything. And the answer is look at the world. We don't live in that kind of a world.
We don't.
I still make a little bit of money to keep going.
I have to pay my bills so that I'm available. It's just the way it is.
She gets a lot better when she's rich, too, folks. So I'll tell you what, let's hone that gift right now. Let's hone that gift right now, right here on Bridging the Gap Television. Yes. Call us right now at the number flashing on the bottom of your screen. I think Shuffy's enjoying this a little too much. So, all right, let's get to one other question. We've bridged the initial gap. We'll tackle this again. Just about anything within the catalog to be of Bridging the Gap can be approached at a later time for even more. But I think we've bridged a pretty good chunk of the gap between you and this phenomenon, i.e. consulting with a psychic. And again, in a way, you're doing that certainly if you give us questions here on Bridging the Gap, and if that's the way you feel safe in approaching it, please get them to us. And we'll have one more here before we close out. You ready for this, Brenda?
I'm ready.
So now you get to see her at work, see? So this is what she earns those extra fries that I buy her on Mondays for. So we'll do the top one or the bottom one. She has not seen these and never does see these or read these in advance, by the way. I will have you know that. That's absolutely serious. So we'll do the top one or the bottom one.
I really don't care.
She doesn't. She never gives me an answer like that. Okay,
yeah,
we'll do the top one. This one comes in from Robert, and he is from Oregon. And it goes like this. I have just been offered a very tempting offer from a precipitous firm on the East Coast. Lovely language, by the way, Robert. I like you already. They have given me a very short amount of time to give them a reply, though, and I have 3 small boys, a wife who is also a professional, and parents to consider in this potential move. I am torn between the opportunity that would be enormous for me and feeling like this might be selfish if I take it, aside from staying at home where I currently am. I haven't really had a full night's rest for 2 weeks over this, and time is running short for me to give this firm an answer. Will you shed some light on what I should do?
There's no right answer, there's no wrong answer to this. If you go, it'll be exactly what you're supposed to do. If you stay, it'll be okay. You are a person destined to become at the top of your field in your career. if this is something your gut tells you to do, then you need to start packing. Everybody around you will be fine if you're fine. It is your decision, your choice. If you decide not to go, will it go away and you're never going to have another opportunity? Absolutely not. This is going to follow you. It will be there for you. You're destined to become at the very top of your profession. Everybody that seems all upset and wondering about things, stop and look at it just a little bit and decide what's best for you. What works for you makes it good for everybody.
Okay, very good. Robert, I hope you're satisfied with that, and he just gave himself his own answer.
Exactly.
All right, sounds good. And again, Brenda, that's another thing that we get into and probably will in future editions. You hear Brenda saying there is no right, there is no wrong. And very, very, very seldom is there a right and wrong as far as a decision like this is concerned, at least.
Exactly. If you worry so much about what works and what doesn't work, you will never go anywhere. You won't make a decision.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to debate is murder wrong or is it right? I'm not going there with this.
No, I mean, I think that's an easy one for you to sort out. There would be consequences of that, and they would go beyond the prison time that you might serve, actually.
Exactly.
Have you ever had anybody do that, by the way, Brenda, come to you and say, should I kill him?
No, but I've had people who are drug dealers and people who are heroin addicts. And I've had people who have made very bad decisions in that all of a sudden the consequences are there. So it's bad for them in their mind. So, was it bad? I'm not their judge.
Yeah. You're only their intuitive medium, and she is yours as well, folks, here on Bridging the Gap. Brenda Burgett, Spiritual Advisor, Intuitive Medium, along with me. I'm Ian Hansen, your host for the program, and Brenda, this is always a lot of fun. We're going to do it again.
It's great fun. It's great working with you.
Bridging the Gap on television airs on several platforms. The first one and the principal one we'd like you to check out is hopefully where you're seeing this right now. That would be the website, bridgingthegaptv.com. And I got it right, Shuffy? Okay, thank you. He's giving me the wink back there. He's a winker. I'm not real crazy about being winked at by another guy, but I've been tolerating it for 6 episodes now. We'll see if we can get him wrangled in.
He's such a cutie. It'll be okay.
There's no right or wrong answer to that. That's where I'm at with that. So also you can check it out on Bridging the Gap with Brenda.com. That's the same website, but a different way to get there. And on YouTube, our channel is up and running. It's Bridging the Gap on TV. Thank you, Ghana, for forcing that on, but we like it just fine. So again, get questions to Brenda via those different connections, and Brenda, we'll see you next time.
Absolutely.
Absolutely we will, right here on Bridging the Gap. Until the next time, I'm Ian Hansen, she's Brenda Burgett. Enjoy your existence.